up, Ham Fam? Welcome to another episode of Hard as a Mother. If you're just tuning in or new here, we are Har and Jizzy. Well, I'm Jizzy.
I'm Har.
And we are just two moms on a mission to create a safe space for moms and dads, or anyone really, to talk about the honesty and the realness of parenthood while also being able to laugh at ourselves. Because what's the point of life if you can't laugh at yourself?
Haha. I've been laughing at myself all week. Actually, no, I've just been grumpy. Anyways.
That's why it's 1 o'clock. Cheers.
Cheers. Clang, clang. I don't want to move. Sorry. I'm just being I'm in this mood. So it's really good to be back, Ham Fam. So we want to thank all the audience and all the love and the outpour from everyone. It's just like this journey's just been so amazing for us. And we really, really appreciate it. So without further ado, I want to introduce our next guest. So when we talk about serious hair game, this chick does not play around. She's a mother of two to a teenager and a sweet boy who was unfortunately diagnosed with autism, but that shouldn't be something that is hindered. She's a wife, she's a boss, babe, extraordinaire, and most importantly, she's the original OG coming right out of Brooks. Welcome, Rath.
You guys. Brooks represent.
Damn, is there a lot of Asians in Brooks?
Probably 12. I'm
one of the 12.
I'm one of the 12.
What was it like growing up in Brooks being the only Asian person?
You know, it's it has its moments, but I am a special Asian. I consider myself more of a Caucasian than an Asian.
But you are Cambodian.
I am Cambodian. Yes, correct.
Can you teach us a thing or two? How do you say? I know some Cambodian words, but I don't think I really should repeat it. But how do you say hello in Cambodian?
What?
Jamopsua.
Yes.
It's better when I can say joy godoy,
Oh,
but
what is joy
it's
godoy?
so much
I feel like
better.
you told me this before, or you told me.
Oh my
this
god, I
before.
can't believe I said it. Sorry, but
Okay,
everyone's
Rath is saying that I can't know what it is, but you can tell me
people
later.
are
Right?
gonna Google that now. But anyways,
And can I just say to Rath, has brought us these lovely tumblers.
Thank you so much. What an amazing
Look at this.
gift.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
We are legit.
You're welcome.
Hold on. Now we gotta take a sip.
There's no liquor in there, but there's liquor in here.
Clearly.
So Rath, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
So I grew up in a small town. Just a girl with a big dream, and after grad, I moved to the big city to find my path, trying to figure out life. And being in Calgary, I was like, yeah, sweet, being in the big city, I get to date city boys, enough of this small town stuff. And then I come to Calgary and I meet Phil.
You call him the city boy? No,
well,
I'm just kidding.
Well, to me he is because he's not from Brooks. And and then just magic just happened, and we just, we've been married for coming up to 13 years now. Wow. And 2 kids and this beautiful life that we created together. And, life hasn't always been easy, but it's been quite a journey, and you just learn, you grow, you meet amazing people, friends bring more friends, and friends become family. And
That's true.
Right?
We've known each other for like 2 decades.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. We were babies.
Yeah.
And then we were responsible for teenagers, which I don't think we should be
It's
responsible
crazy that you
for.
guys have teenagers. It's hard to wrap my head around because we used to party so much together, Amsterdam Rhino every Saturday,
Right.
And now you guys have teenagers. It's crazy.
Yeah, mine's almost as tall as me. Yours is hard. Yours is taller than you.
Yeah.
But everyone's taller than her.
That's true.
That's not true. I'm going to find someone that I'm taller than.
You mean besides Ava?
That's fucking rude, first of all. But anyways, no, as someone who's an adult, I'm pretty sure. Maria. I'm taller than Maria.
How tall are you?
4'11".
She's 4'11".
Oh, well, we're the same height then.
Well, we're gonna have to get you two in the same room, and
I'm gonna find
Go back
someone.
to back.
I'm gonna
Go
find
back to
someone.
back.
Anyways, if you're listening and you're from Airdrie, you probably know our girl Rath because she is the owner and operator of the lovely Salon Harper. So tell us a little bit more about how you came to own your own salon. Like you said, you came from a small town with a big dream. So how did that come about happening?
Well, I always had this creative side to me, and everybody's like, my family, my friends, they're like, Rath, you should just open your own salon. And this is me back when I was 17, 18. I was like, no, I'm not ready. And then all this years have passed, and you know, you got to learn, you got to find your mentors, you got to find your coaches, and I felt like I actually own and operate this salon with Amber, my business partner, and she came into my life at such a perfect opportunity, and our vision just kind of clicked. And to be able to find a partnership like that and find someone that has the same vision and value, I was so grateful that we were able to just kind of like go forward with it. And she says to me, she's like, when do you want to do this? I said, yesterday. Can we get on this already? Like, seriously. So yeah, we've been now open and operated for 3 years now. And
It's been 3 years already.
3 years. November 21st is our 3rd year anniversary. It's crazy.
Wow.
Right?
Already. I remember when I used to see you back when you were like just working at another salon. And actually the thing I'll always remember was I came to see you and you're like, hey, Ash, I haven't seen you in so long. I was like, yeah. And you're like, who's been cutting your bangs? And I was like, honestly, I've just been using like craft scissors to just trim them. And she stopped and she's like, I'm just going to pretend I didn't hear that. And I was like, okay.
It's funny you mentioned that because every time I walk into this is the great part about having friends that own salon. Well, I shouldn't say this because now everyone's gonna be like, Rath, why do you give special privileges? Like, I'm like the worst client Rath can ever have because I'm the one who doesn't book appointments. I'm like, hey, I need a haircut really bad. And then when I walk in, she'll look at my hair and she'll be like, oh my God. Like, she doesn't even sugarcoat it. She's just like, okay, we got some work to do. Like, come sit down. But seriously, I've been getting a lot of people who stop me, like even at the airport, like, who did your hair? I was like, that's Red. Look at my hair game, you know.
Rath at Salon Harper.
Yeah. So you guys have to check it out, definitely. And like the ambiance, like at Salon Harper it's very high scale, but your prices are not like crazy. It's fair. And everybody that works there is just super amazing. And it's funny because I'm like, okay, everybody knows I'm loud, but everybody can hear my stories. They're like, oh, there's Rath's friend.
There's Rath's loud friend.
Yeah, because everybody literally hears my story, and somebody or someone who's gonna who's cutting hair, they'll like chime into my conversation with Rath or with anybody. So it becomes like this whole, and like it's kind of like that movie like Barbershop. It's literally like that at Rath Salon. That's why I love it.
And I'm so happy you brought that up because that's the atmosphere I'm trying to create. Is that we are so disconnected these days that I feel like we need to connect more. And more than once, we have guests that come through the door. They're coming in to buy a bottle of shampoo, and the next thing you know, they turn over and they see like their cousin sitting in the salon chair, and the next thing you know, like, or their neighbor from Nova Scotia, and they start chatting it up, and they're like, oh my God. So we wanted to be that hub for people to feel themselves, to have a conversation, to talk about their day-to-day, activities. Or some people, everybody has hard days, and I feel like I hope that I can create a safe space for these people to come in and just allow themselves to be them.
And you have, because I always enjoy my time every time I'm there. I probably stay longer than my appointment, even when my hair is done. I've met some incredible people and moms out there, and it's crazy. Like, we share same stories, and yeah, so I really love going there. So you guys should definitely check it out. If you guys, I know it's, for some people it's a drive, but it's definitely worth the drive.
And so with all the crazy shit that's going on right now, like, how has COVID affected your business? Because I know we're all trying to support local. We're all trying to really just do our parts. And like, how have you guys been pulling through?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, COVID is just a huge game changer. Like, not in a good way, in a bad way, but more in a bad way. But when we first shut down in I think it was March 14th, we had to be shut down, and I don't know when we're going to be reopened. Like, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, 2 weeks fly by, we'll open up our doors again. And then all of a sudden it's like the end of April, then the end of May. I'm like, oh my gosh, when are we going to open again? And then when we were allowed to be open again, our phone was like blowing up like crazy. And it's like, okay, but safety first. Like yes, we were shut down, but I think a lot of people weren't aware was that warehouses were shut down, distributors were shut down. So we couldn't get like our sanitizer, our mask, and our cleaning like supplies. So it's like we had to scram. And again, like with great partnerships and just like outsourcing and connecting with the community, we were able to find the support and like the supplies that we needed. And then June 1st is when we were like, okay, let's reopen. But on the same note, like this afternoon when we were told that salons are allowed to stay open and we don't have to go into lockdown, like all my staff, our community, we're so happy that we can stay open, because at the end of the day, you know, I know it's just a haircut appointment, but a lot of times people look forward to that haircut appointment because it's something
It's more than that.
a happy thing that they're whatever, like life can be crap, but like that's one thing that they look forward to come like see like one of our stylists, to have that 25 minutes getting their haircut and feeling fresh, whatever. But honestly, my biggest shout out is to my team. Like my team has been on their A game from the very beginning, and they keep the place safe and sanitized and making sure like if I miss something or I need to restock on something, they have my back. Like these guys, they're like always cheering me on, and I'm so grateful for the people I get to work with. They're such a blessing.
Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of people too, I know for me, it's a time where you can get away from everything, like your family, your partner, and it's like you're there, and
It's all
like,
you.
Yeah, and you said like the camaraderie that comes with it when you're talking to other moms in the salon, and it's all about you. Just even if it's just for a couple hours, you know what I mean? And that's actually, Mark's the only person who knew this before now, but my favorite thing to do is smoke weed and go get my hair washed. It's my absolute favorite thing to do. So if I ever come see you, I'm probably high.
That's cool.
But
So speaking of getting your hair washed, so the first time that I ever got my hair done with Rath, it was funny because they like to massage like the scalp, and I like it a little bit more like
rough.
No, not this time. I liked it a little bit sensual, but Rath had she was talking, but I don't think she realized how hard she was like massaging my scalp, but I didn't tell her because I didn't want to complain, because it was like whatever, she was my friend. And it was funny because her brother Ravi, I saw him at a function, and I was like we were shooting the shit, and then we were talking about it, and I was like, yo man, she rubs that scalp so fucking hard, it hurt my head. And he was like, yeah, I know, she does that to me too. So I guess it went back to Rath, and then she was like, you could have just told me to ease it. So now every time she's like, is this okay, Har? But it was amazing. So I love your scalp rubs.
Yeah, and congratulations on 3 years of your own salon. Yeah.
Thank you. It's so surreal some days. It's kind of like when we first opened, Phil was like, has it hit you yet? Has it hit you yet?
Has it?
It has, but it didn't hit me like the first day. I think it was on a Tuesday evening. I was working late that night, and I was finishing applying color. My sweet mom, she brought me dinner, and Chloe came. I didn't realize every single chair in the salon was full, and every single person had foil in their hair. Mm-hmm. So as I took my dinner to the back room, I stood there for just a minute, and I turned around to see that, like, the chirping, that laughter in the space. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. Like, so I was like, I went home that night, and I told Phil, I was like, I had my moment. Like, it's the real deal.
You saw your dream come to fruition, and that's probably one of the best feelings ever.
Oh, guys, like, again, I speak highly of you guys, but like when you get to do something you dream of and you like want so bad, like I try to work my butt off because I want other girls and other people out there to see us, to be a good, like a positive role model to them, especially women who have daughters or sisters or whoever, and say like, oh my gosh, so-and-so did it, I think I can do it too. And just give them hope and give them a chance, right?
Yeah.
And so I, yeah, like I sacrifice so many hours and days of like personal things that I choose to. And, but I'm so fortunate. I have a good partner in my life. My husband, he always keeps me grounded, and he keeps me checked in all the time and letting me know like, hey, you worked 5 days, 12 hours each day. Are you going to have family time this week? Like what, like when do we get family time? You know? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So I, you know, I now don't work weekends because weekends are for my family, and there's certain evenings I don't work because they're my family time. And
So I actually let me clear my throat. So, two-part question. You talked about your team and how they're such great, amazing people, and they really have your back. I truly believe that when you're a leader, that's really your team is the reason why your team is the way that they are is because they have such a great leader. What do you think you've learned over the course of time, why you've become such a great leader that your team has your back?
you know, that's a great question, Har. I thought about this numerous of times. I actually have mentors in my life that I've seeked out, and I've personally picked that has guided me through each chapter of my life. And every time I have self-doubt or I feel like I'm not the best leader, I reach out to them to kind of see what else I should offer to my team. But I think what helped me and them to realize like who I am, because yes, at the end of the day, I try to put on like my life is perfect. I have no issues. I work 12-hour days. But when I had, when I lost my best friend a year ago, it was the hardest thing. I've never grieved like that in my life. And I didn't know how to deal with it, and I couldn't hide it anymore. So I had a staff meeting and I bawled my eyes out in front of my whole team. And so when my team saw me at my weakness, and they're like, oh my goodness, like she's got a soft spot, like all of us do. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm a human being just like you are. And so at the end of the day, I always try to see the positive aspect of things when I coach or when I lead. Am I a leader for everybody? No. Am I a great coach for some people? Yes. But I find that people come and go in my life for a reason. They come, I teach them a lesson, or they teach me a lesson, and then our time parts, right? So I don't know, I'm getting off track here, but like I find my staff keeps me in check, and my mentors keep me in check to make sure that
they hold accountability to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So obviously we can sit here and talk about how positive and everything else is. And when I look back to my own leadership, there's some stuff that I was like, wow, that was totally fucked up. Like, how the hell did I think that was going to work for my team? What is the one thing that you can recall that you were like, yeah, I totally fucked up when I did this? What was it, and how were you able to pivot from it?
Oh my gosh. When we first came back from, when we first opened in COVID, right? I was like, guys, we have guidelines to follow. Like, we need to be the prime example. And everybody here has to wear a mask, and we have to sanitize everything. Who was the dumbass that didn't have a guest in their chair wearing a mask? Me. The whole entire appointment, I knew there was something off. And then all of a sudden my guest is like, he looked around the room and he's like, am I supposed to wear a mask? I'm like, oh my God, yes, you're supposed to wear a mask.
Shit, my bad.
I was like, shit, my bad. That's so my bad. So I think as a leader, it's so important to call out what you've done wrong. So then your team knows that, hey, you know, my boss, she does make mistakes too. So I feel like that holds me accountable to some of my leadership also, because you got to lead by examples, right? And if I screw up, like I screw up, right? And so, and the messed up part was that there was a nurse in the room, the same appointment, and she looked over and she's like, that guy doesn't have a mask on. Why does everybody have a mask on? I'm like, oh no, that's me. That's my fault. That's so my fault.
But to be fair, like during this whole COVID thing, especially when things started, things are always up in the air. No one really even knows what the fuck they're supposed to do, like especially in the beginning. But you have to know that you're doing something right when your team is that loyal to you, and when they're like ride or die. Like even now, you just said that they're such an amazing team who has your back, but guaranteed if the management wasn't very good, they wouldn't be doing that. So you got to know you're doing something right.
Well, and on the years of working for other companies too, is that, you know, you learn real fast what kind of people you want to work for. And I take those as lessons, and then I try to practice that. So then that way when, you know, like right now I am a leader. So I'm like, okay, well, so-and-so treated me poorly. I'm not going to treat that person poorly. Or let's take this avenue versus going direct this way. I just find when you micromanage, sometimes it doesn't go as well as you plan to be sometimes. So you gotta, I know it's kind of cheesy to say, but you kind of have to like let it be organic sometimes and trust them, because everybody has different coaching skills and abilities to learn. So you got to find what their strengths are. Let's go with that. And then if you have to, like my weakness is like saying no. I have a hard time saying no, so I have to learn how to say no.
Rath, can I have some money? Yes, that's a yes.
She got you there.
That's true. We'll talk later.
See, thank you, Rath. See, now I'm gonna get some money.
But I think that the whole treat others how you want to be treated, it's not just a saying. There's science behind that, because, you know, the mirror neurons, like when you act some way towards someone, they're going to do the same thing to you naturally as humans, scientifically speaking. That's how it's supposed to be. So the fact that you recognize that's how a real leader should think.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Phil gives you a nudge and say, hey, you work 5 days a week, you are working 12 hours. Did you ever feel like family and friends or anybody have kind of shamed you for not being so present at a particular time with your family because you're trying to run this business and it is your passion, it is your love, and you're like, it's gonna work. I don't care if it kills me or I have to, you know, like I have to like clean up all this blood that I like, you know, like, has anybody ever shamed you for that?
Yes. And I am trying my hardest to be more present at a time, because I feel that my poor husband has been present with our two kids at a lot of family functions, and they're always like, "Oh, where's Rath? Rath's working." You know,
That's me. I always see Phil, and I was like, "Where is Rath?"
Right?
I saw you at the last party.
I love
the last three parties. Where's Rath?
We really like seeing you, but not really. We want to see Rath. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I feel horrible, you guys. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, "Oh my God, right? It's so and so's birthday," but like I'm slammed until like 9 o'clock. Like I can't get out of this, or you know, I try to make up for it, but it's not the same. It's not. Again, that's my weakness, and I'm trying to practice being present and being valuable during present time these days, because time is so valuable, guys. Like, of course.
Do you think your kids understand what mom's doing? That's why she's not around. Like, do they see the bigger picture of it? I know Chloe's a little bit older, who she can understand, but I mean, Cole, not so much. But do they understand what mom's trying to do to build a life that she could be more present eventually?
I sure hope so. To be honest, I do feel like they feel like mom is always working all the time, right? I feel Chloe feels more of it, but she doesn't really show it. She's always like affectionate with me and whatnot. But I find Cole and I find nighttime routine, because he's always like looking for mom. Because I'm the person that starts their day with them. I get up early, make their breakfast, start their lunches, and then they go to school. Grandma picks them up, or Phil picks them up, and then at nighttime, it's like, it's bedtime. Where's mom? Like, mom should be home. Like, where is she? But I don't roll in until like 10:30, because I have to shut the shop down, you know, sanitize or do cash out, whatever. And then I'm like, oh. And then by the time I get home, I just want to go to bed, right?
Yeah.
And then, so I truly value my morning time routine with them. And I seriously do feel bad. And again, I sure hope that, and I have these conversations with Chloe, because Chloe is at that age where she can understand a lot of this stuff now. And I feel like, you know, mom, this it didn't get handed to mom. I have to work hard for this. And like, at the end of the day, we kind of have to make sacrifices wherever we can, but it's not forever.
For
It's
sure.
not
Yeah.
forever.
And they're going to learn that. And Chloe probably already knows that. And if it's any consolation, even when I don't see you at parties, I'm like, it's because she's hustling. I understand that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And
guys.
yeah, and I know that your kids are gonna grow up and be like, my mom's a fucking hustler, and I'm sure they're so proud of you too, as we all are. So, if that's any consolation, and try to make you not feel bad, because you
Thanks,
shouldn't.
guys.
This is your
Yeah.
hustle.
It's funny because today Jaden knocks on my door and I'm like rushing to get out the door. And he's like, he asked me a bunch of questions and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm getting ready. And he's like, oh, right. It's Tuesday. It's podcast night. I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, I'll let you get back to it. Sometimes I feel like we feel, well, as moms, we're always so like, guilty of like the things that we want to do that we should. But then I sit down and I remind myself of how my day have started, just like you, right? I get up 2 hours early to get the workout in, to make sure the breakfast, the lunch, the whatever I have to do getting him up, and then the things in between. Like, yes, I work from home, but also I work in different places. But also when I get in between that time frame, the lunch the dinner is already happening and I'm out the door. Like every minute of my day
Is full.
and it's slotted with something. And sometimes I'm on conference calls. This is so bad, but oh God, I can't believe I'm sharing this. So I wasn't paying attention when I was on a conference call and I was holding my pee so bad that I ran to the bathroom and sat on the toilet and the lid was shut. So guess what? Har pissed all over the fucking toilet. It was gross.
Oh no.
Now everybody knows.
So funny because you're always talking about how Jaden fucks up your toilet all the time.
And I was so mad because as I'm on this conference call talking, I'm cleaning my own piss and I'm like, listen, Har, like take the second. And I have to remind myself to take the second because I don't need to allot like every minute of my day of something. There's something that could take a back burner. There always is, but I feel like I feel guilty.
Yes.
And I think that's such a mom thing. That's such a mom feeling. Like, if there's part of your day where you want to take a nap or you want to just sit down, you're just like, fuck, I know there's something I should be doing. But I always have to have that conversation with Mark too, because before this podcast came, it helped me really decide who I am, because like you said, before we're moms, we're other people too.
Well, that's what I told her. As I was like, you're not just Ava's mom. You're actually Giselle. You are Rath.
Yeah.
You're not just Chloe and Cole's mom. And you're just not Phil's wife. You can't really lose who you are because like for a long time, I really felt like I lost myself. Like I struggled throughout the weight gains and everything else. And it wasn't like I didn't prioritize myself, but I was just a cranky ass bitch all the time.
Yeah, me too.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So do you guys share the same problem? So recently, just like the past couple of months, I always tell Mark, I'm like, I'm really sorry that I'm not home a lot. I'm always on podcast meetings. I'm in branding meetings. I'm recording whatever. Like, I just want to let you know, like, this is like, I'm hustling. I'm just trying to do my thing. And then he was totally understandable. He's like, yeah, do your thing. I can't wait to be a stay-at-home dad one day. But like, do you guys relate to, like, did you say that stuff to Jaden and do you say that stuff to Phil?
Yeah, I do. But also I co-parent with BJ too, because half the time I don't want to leave Jaden just alone at home. So I kind of give him a little bit of like what my life, what's ahead. And it's funny because he's not my partner. He's a co-parent and he really is supportive. It's weird because people still think we're together. It looks like we're together, but we're not. It's just how we parent, just to make sure that I'm not like he's picking up the slack as a parent when I'm not there. He gets it. I'm hustling and Jaden sees it too. Like what does Phil tell you when you absolutely have no time for him, and you can't you can't stretch your time for him?
Well, one thing I've really learned was that quality time is quality time. I try not to like pick up my phone. I try not to work. I try not to do whatever. Family time is family time. It took me a long time to figure this out because it was hard because all I wanted to do was hustle because that's what I was made to do. Hustle, hustle, hustle.
Can I just say When you say that, I'm like listening to a song in my head.
Every day I'm
hustling.
I know. This is my problem. I swear to God, I probably have multiple personalities.
But you know, I am very, very fortunate that my husband is so supportive from the get-go, even before like the salon opened and whatnot, because I used to work for a big company, and I would travel and did hair backstage and like model calls, and I had trips. Like sometimes I would come home, like be gone for 5 days, come home, unpack, and then go again. So like, as long as I feel like as long as we acknowledge each other is step one. Because Phil and I, we've always said, before kids, it's the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Before the two of us is each other. Like like Phil and Rath, right? So regardless of how life takes us, yes, we are a family now. We always have to come back to each other. So I always make an effort to check in with him, which I'm slowly getting better at. He's so much better at it than I am. And again, that's my weak thing. I'm not the one that always like texts back. Like I am the worst like texter.
Yes, you are.
I
know.
Horrible. And
sometimes you don't respond to me
for like a day.
fucking,
Yeah.
No, Rath, not even a day. 2 weeks sometimes.
Oh, girl.
And I have to be like, hi, Rath.
See, I'm horrible. It's not
That's
that
okay.
It's
I
not
get
that
it.
I'm
You're
trying to
hustling.
ignoring or whatever,
No,
but
I
I'm just
get it.
like, okay, all right. But yes, sometimes yes, Phil will like try to like make sure that I remember what's valuable in our relationship, and to always make time for that. Or like he is very, very understanding that with me being part of this like business now, that the first 3 years usually is like you don't get to see each other as much, right? And now we're at the 3-year mark, and now things are starting to like slow down, and like we can have quality time, like more quality time, because I'm learning how to delegate jobs, so then I don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
So
important.
that's huge.
And I'm sure
again,
in the beginning it wasn't like that.
Oh,
like,
no.
You were probably handling most of the...
like myself and Amber, and like luckily like I stand behind the chair and I do like everything on the floor. Amber does like all the behind scenes stuff, like all the important stuff, like payroll and graphic design and media and all that stuff. And you know, and like when I step away to travel for work, like she steps in, or vice versa. And so with like again at home too, if I step away for work, then Phil has to fill in all the gaps, like mom, dad, cook, clean, laundry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I return from my trips, I have to make sure I make time for cook, clean, and then make sure that he gets time off to relax and have some to have Phil time. Because one thing I've learned being a mom, being a couple, is that it's so important to have Rath time and Phil time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps you grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps you in check, and mentally I don't feel like I'm always losing it. Because beforehand, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, my brain is scattered like all over the place. I don't know what to focus on, and hence why I don't respond back to text messages for like 2
at
weeks.
least you didn't piss all over a toilet.
Girl, you need to take some time off, I think. But yeah, like you cannot pour from an empty cup. And that's what I'm always trying to tell Mark too. I finally fucking convinced him to get a pedicure. And I was like, how'd you like it? He's like, I'll be back. I fucking told you. Yeah, like self-care is so important. We don't just say that just for the sake of fucking saying it.
Yeah,
Like
it really
really
helps.
is. It helps.
Even like the 20-30 minutes, even when I get a massage or whatever it is that I do for myself, I come back better, right?
Yeah.
And like a better outlook. And it's really important that us moms, or just parents in general, that we don't lose ourselves, because we do.
Yeah,
Like that
we do.
that really
Sometimes
is.
we do. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, me too.
So let's just take it back to your home life, because so you're super successful boss lady in all aspects of business, but we know that your son was diagnosed with autism. And when you found out, was this before or after you started your business?
Oh, beforehand.
Okay.
Cole was just over 2 years old, a little bit over 2 years old, and he was nonverbal. And that was the first sign of us like we're like, he's 2 and he's not talking. And Phil's like, maybe we should go get him like checked out. Like, let's go, let's like make a family doctor appointment or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. But me as a mom, I'm like, oh, he has an older sister. He's a boy. You know, his older siblings talking for him. And I would ask my nurse friends, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is typical. Like, this is what little boys do. I'm like, okay, cool. And then when we took him in to go get tested, the doctor said we should go and get a speech test done. And I was like, okay, how are we supposed to do a speech test if he doesn't talk? So we did. We went to go to see a speech pathologist and or therapist. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to suggest you go get sight ear test done, like sound, like see if he's maybe deaf. And so I'm like, okay, sure. So then, of course, we take him to that test and he passed. I'm like, okay, what's going on now? So then our pediatrician said, I'm going to suggest you and Phil go and take this program. It's over by the foothills, and it's this day and this day, go. And it turns out it was interventions for parents that had kids that were under the spectrum. So autism is actually a huge umbrella, and so many things follow that umbrella, like Asperger, ADHD, all that stuff. And so I'm like, okay, let's go. So we went and learned some more knowledge about this, and then we're like, okay. After the first day, it was quite overwhelming because they gave us information how to get support, what the government offers us, links, community support. So we're like, okay, I don't even know where to go through now. Like, there's just so much to know now. So after when we got all that testing done and figure out what was our next step was we wanted to enroll him in preschool.
Yeah.
So he's now 3. And we're like, maybe preschool will help.
Cole is 3?
He was 3.
At that time.
At that time.
Sorry, I thought you meant
was
right
like,
now. I'm like, he's not 3.
No, he's 7. He's 7 now.
I'm like, he's a big 3.
So at 3 years old, you wanted to put him into preschool.
Preschool,
Okay,
right.
okay.
And the preschool that we put him into, we had huge referrals to this preschool, because they work based on play, but part of their team, they have an amazing group of staff that are specialists, like behavior, occupational therapists, teachers, speech, all that stuff. So they hit all those.
They checked all the boxes.
Yeah. And so Phil and I were like, okay, let's give it a go. And I kid you not, you guys, after I feel like the first 6 months of Cole being in school, we saw some changes. And then we checked back in. We would make goals. And then we would do another 6 months, and we saw, so we're like, okay. And then our, when we got him diagnosed with the doctor, he's like, do you notice repetitive behavior with Cole? And I said, what do you mean by that? Because people that are autistic, they kind of have either a movement of body or eyes, or they do it's more of a sensory thing. They tap their self.
Fidgeting?
Yeah, fidgeting. Yeah, thank you. And so I'm like, I was like, well, not so much fidgeting, but I notice he doesn't confined spaces or certain noise. For example, church. He hates church. So we're like, okay, cool. And then, at 3 years, he, I guess 2.5, he was diagnosed with autism, and Phil and I were like, okay, I guess we're gonna take it by the horn and just go with it. And we just kept reaching out to other moms and specialists and whoever would talk to us. We're picking their brains. But we worked as it with each other, and we would always communicate everything, because I felt like Phil has an opinion and I have an opinion, and then how do we set goals together? How do we parent? It changes everything, right? Especially when you think you're given this beautiful child to be a parent to, easy breezy, right? But then you're like, oh, okay, cool. He's autistic. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Let's be real. I'm like, I've never heard of autism before. So can you please elaborate on this? And so as a mom, I felt like I had to do a lot of digging and researching and just being open with the topic, Yeah. And I felt like so many support came my way.
You mentioned about your parenting styles with Phil, especially when it comes to Cole. did you guys ever butt heads, and how did you guys come to a resolution of like saying, okay, we need to do this together? Did you feel like sometimes you felt really strongly like, I don't want to do that, where he was like, well, I want to do that? How did you guys come to a resolution to?
I think we gave each other windows of learning opportunities. So, for example, Phil tends to raise his voice a lot. And as a parent, when you get angry, I do the same. Like, you get frustrated, you just raise your voice, right? And all of a sudden, like a reaction. And then I was like, but then when I speak to Cole, it's more of like calmer. Like, I'm not going to lie, I do react like when I need to react. But I kind of, when he has like a frustration moment, I just respond with a calm tone. And so I allowed Phil to do his part to kind of show him, and then I would step back and not say anything, and then I would approach it like when a window of opportunity presents itself, and then afterwards I'm like, okay, did you see what I just did there? And see how he reacted? And he's like, oh yeah. So now he, like Phil, is like, okay, I'm gonna start doing this. But again, it's a nature habit, right? You like we were only taught what our parents taught us.
Of course, it's a huge learning curve,
right? And so
Because that wasn't even a topic like when we were like
at all.
anybody with special needs. It was like, yeah, they'll be fine.
Right. And so Phil and I, we want to almost be like the advocate of for other families and other couples out there that have special needs kids, just to be open and just be like, you know, this is your child. You're going to love this child regardless of what. Let's all work together and give them the best life, the best opportunity that like our child could have. But if you like look at it at a negative perspective, it's not going to turn out well. And my titas, like my aunties and her friends and whatnot, some of the families, they do have an autistic child in their family, and we've been very lucky because we've been able to connect with other association and met other families who have special needs kids, and we've seen a different age range of them. And so we're like, okay, like family A didn't seek out and get support, and their child is a teenager now, and all they do is like have like outbreak moments, and they don't know how to control it as a parent. Like, I feel like as a parent, you should always have some sort of control or like guidance or structure. And then option B, the family took early intervention, took the coaching, invested the time. And going back to that question that you asked, Har, like Phil and I, we've decided that like special needs kids, their brain development, it's like, I think it's the window between like age 5 to age 9 is like where they grasp the most information and knowledge. So we wanted to feed Cole as much information as possible, and we don't want to miss that opportunity because it's harder for them to adapt to that learning and harder for us to get them to grasp it.
You mean like later on in life?
Yeah, later on in life. And a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
So Phil took, I believe, like 2 years off from his work so he can be home.
Good for him.
With Cole. I don't know I don't think a lot of people know this, but like Phil took the initiative to be home with Cole full time so he can get the support he needs full time. And I was the one that worked. And so again, like mine and Phil relationship, we've learned a lot, and I think it's all, it comes down to communication, like how, I guess I'm totally getting off topic here, but like how we parent our kids, you know?
Yeah.
But it's all about communication and just allowing each other to like role play, I guess, like have that moment of learning. I think that's super important too.
For sure. And you were telling me too, before we started, when we were waiting for you, she's saying, the cultural aspect of it, of having having a special needs child. So what was the struggle behind that in the beginning when he was first diagnosed, when it came to, because Phil is Filipino.
Yes.
And you're Cambodian.
Yes.
So what were the cultural, I guess, challenges around having a special needs kid?
Culturally, when you have someone that's quote unquote not the norm, people look at you, people judge you, people don't like, I guess, I don't know, want to accept that maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So I myself, because we're Cambodian and we don't really talk about like certain disorders or whatnot. Like maybe it's lack of knowledge or not. But anyways, trying to break this information to my mom and my side of the family was a little challenging. And how I addressed it was that like Cole is functional. He's healthy. He just learns differently than we do.
Yeah.
So we have to help him learn. He just his brain like takes in information and downloads it on a slower base. So we just have to practice it more often. And they're like, oh, okay. And so then once we coach our parents and our siblings and cousins and stuff like that, they've like adapt to it so amazingly well. And everybody just honestly, when Cole walks into the room, everybody treats Cole like another cousin. Like, and that's what we want. We just want him to be just like another cousin.
Treat him normally without making it seem like he was special needs. So you probably, speaking of families and friends, sometimes they don't understand, and I get it. So have you ever run into a situation where, you know, something triggered Cole, where he did something reactive to another child, where it wasn't intentional? Like, I don't know what exactly, like, what triggers him and what he does. So like, say whether it was either he grabbed a toy or hit or whatever it is, has that ever happened? And if a parent was there to see it, like, how did you address it with that particular parent? Or were you like, did you cringe and where you're like, fuck, like, was it uncomfortable for you? It must have been uncomfortable for the other parent, probably, but how did you address it?
That's a great question. I addressed it like how I would normally address if Cole or Chloe was to hit somebody or whatever, right? I take Cole by the hand, I go to the kid. This happened actually a couple times when I took him to the park, and Cole loves to throw rocks, right? Like, we're at the park, we're having fun, he's throwing rocks, but there's other kids around, and I always call all these other kids friends because I want him to always look at other people as friends. So I'm like, Cole, we need to stop throwing rocks because we're going to hurt our friend. And he's like, oh, okay. But in Cole's mind, he's thinking, I'm just having fun with these rocks.
Yeah.
Like, it's like at the beach with sand, but this is rocks. Who am I going to hurt? But I try not. It's only awkward if you make it awkward. So I don't make it awkward. And I actually approached the other mom and I'm like, listen, I'm so sorry that my son hit your child or this happened. But my son, he's part of the spectrum. That's all I say. He's part of the spectrum, and sometimes he doesn't understand why he does certain things. So we're learning. We're trying to teach him, and I'm really I'm really sorry. And a lot of moms are super understanding, like, oh, that's fine, or like, I think it's so cute that Cole, he loves girls. He loves like little girls, and so we're at the park, and he doesn't know boundaries, right? So he's like,
I don't think a lot of people know boundaries.
I think a lot of guys you date don't know boundaries either.
That's true. It's not just Cole thing. It's even adulthood. Guys don't know their boundaries.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Yeah, so I try to teach him like, okay, because certain friends may not want to play with Cole, and that's totally fine. They're allowed to. And so I would go over and I'd be like, Cole, and I would get Cole to introduce himself, like, hi, my name is Cole, and then I'll get the little friend to introduce their name, so we can call them by name. And then if I can totally see if that little one is uncomfortable with Cole's surrounding, I'll be like, okay, Cole, our little friend just needs a little space, or we need to play over here. He's like, oh, okay. And then while Cole's playing over there, I just go over back to the little friend and just explain to her that, like, Cole is very friendly. He thinks you're a really nice friend, and just kind of keep everything all like easy, kind, always kindness, And even with Chloe, like when she's at school and she's like hanging out and with her friends or whatever, and I'm like, hey, and these days, like back like our high school days, we always have cliques and whatever, right? I'm like, hey, Chloe, like, listen, you're gonna go through so many like ups and downs from grade 1 to like grade 12. Make sure everybody's a friend. You become a friend to that everybody,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach my kids to, like, regardless of what color, what shade, what shape, I don't care who you are, like whatever, it doesn't matter. You just be a friend.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chloe for a second.
Let's talk about Chloe.
Yeah. So one, obviously Chloe knows that her brother is a special needs. Does she ever voiced out an opinion, like where she feels a little resentment to be like, you guys put more focus on Cole than, because she was an only child for so long, and then Cole came in, and it was like, okay, he has this, but you guys are putting so much more effort in him than me. Like, has she ever voiced that out to you guys?
You know, I don't recall a moment that she has come directly to me and be like, Mom, like, Dad, like, you know, Phil and I, we always make sure we check in with her. But tonight I actually asked her, I was like, hey, Chloe, like, do you ever feel, and because we're open in our family, like we try to keep everything open, and she's like, you know, there are times, these are her honest words, there are times, but she goes, but I do understand why you and Dad invest so much time with Cole, because he needs that time with you guys, right? And actually from the get-go, from day one, when we found out Cole could be a special needs kid, we took her to all of the appointments with us to make sure that she
knew
knows
what's going on.
Yeah, that she knows what's happening with her little brother.
That's awesome.
Because we want her, because she's Ate, right?
Yeah.
And actually, cute story, Chloe actually picked the name of Cole. We didn't. I had a different name. Phil had a different name.
Interesting.
And Chloe actually is like, Mom, what about Cole? And so it's always been.
I always thought you guys planned that because
Yeah,
Chloe and Cole.
No,
Yeah.
no. I wanted Steven. Phil wanted Clark because
No.
he loves Superman. He loves Superman, so he
Only
wanted Clark.
Phil would name his child Clark. I'm telling you,
I don't know
Philip.
any babies who are named Clark. Like, oh,
like
my
an
baby
old
looks like a
That's like an
No.
old school name.
And then the best part is that like the doctor who was like delivering Cole came in and she introduced herself. She's like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Clark." And Phil's like, "Oh my God, this is a sign." I'm like, "No,
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This
We're
stops
taking
now."
Chloe's recommendation.
Yeah,
Shout
but
out Chloe. That's a good name.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and
And can
so-
I just say too, the last time I saw Chloe, she was like, "Good job on the podcast."
Yeah. she's such a
And then when I
sweet
was saying bye,
advocate.
she's like, "Good luck on the podcast." And she's like, "I listened to it." I was like, "That's so." Thank
One,
you, Chloe.
Thank you, Chloe, for listening. And then the second thing that will run in my head is, oh my God, I swear so much, and my goddaughter is going to be listening to this.
If she's not hearing it from you, she's hearing it from someone else. Guaranteed.
That's true. She's so level-headed. So she's obviously a teenager. Boys must be, you know, a thing in your house. What are things that she's like navigating through her feelings of being a teenager and boys, and what advices are you giving her?
Oh my goodness. I feel like this is more of a Phil category than a Rath category because, again, going back to parenting, we always try to like make sure we you know, go through our checklist and make sure that we keep everything all square. Anyways, yes, she's 12. She likes boys. And she's emotional some days, and it's okay. That's totally cool. It's normal. And I have to like, because I'm such you know, like good cop, bad cop. I always feel like I'm the bad cop, but my husband might differ. But anyways, I feel that I have to remember when I was 12, how I felt, what I was going through, and how I would appreciate like how my mom would talk to me. So, for example, Phil, he's like, oh yeah, it's Friday. They have half day school Fridays. And they went, Phil's like, by the way, Chloe's not gonna be home until like 4 o'clock. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I'm like, what's going on? Oh, she's gonna stay at school and play with some friends. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Who is she playing with? A boy. I'm like, you're letting your daughter stay at school by herself with a boy? Oh no, they're just gonna play in the playground or whatever, right? So a couple days goes by. I asked Chloe, I said, hey, Chloe, how was your like hangout time with your friend? And she goes, oh, it's good. I'm like, what'd you guys do? Well, and then turns out the friend has a younger brother. They were supposed to walk home together after school. The brother went missing. And so she spent like 20 minutes looking for, like helping her friend look for the little brother. So the hangout didn't really happen because they were busy running around the school looking for the little brother.
She got cock-blocked.
Shut up, Har.
Sorry.
But like, you know, we tell Chloe like from now until whatever, you're gonna have so many crushes in your life. You know, grade 6, she's in grade 7 now, and
Even until you're almost 40. It's true.
Like Nina and Har.
yeah, and so
Me? I don't have a lot of crushes. My brother says I have a lot of toys, and not, like not physical toys.
Or both physical and boy toys.
Anyways, we digress.
But no, we you know, she's allowed to have guy friends and she's allowed to have like whatever.
Is she allowed to have a boyfriend?
Grade 7's not allowed. It's not about boyfriends. It's about friendships. So that's my answer to that.
How old is she allowed to have a boyfriend?
45.
Wait, should I start building my friendships with people? I'm just
kidding.
That's what you have right now. It's friendship.
I feel like that's too much friendships. I don't need no fucking friends right now, okay? I need a man. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, anyways. I'm gonna pee my...
Me too. I have to pee. Oh, I'm sorry we brought your daughter into this
I
conversation.
know. Chloe's gonna listen to this
yeah,
and
she's
be
gonna
like,
love it.
listen to
oh my
this.
God.
Yeah.
She's like, this is what my mom went to
So
go record.
what? Okay, we all been there. What advice are you gonna tell Chloe, as a teenager that you can take for her to take as in her adulthood?
I like hearing this because I have a daughter too. So I'm like, give me the good stuff.
Don't get knocked up. Just kidding. That's such a
Yeah.
Filipino thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's good to know what you want and to not be afraid to show what you want. As a girl, I feel like culturally, because I have 2 brothers and a sister, and so we were always taught like girls always like hold your opinion, you don't voice out or whatever. I think it's super important for her to know, like in a relationship, like if you want a certain affectionate or like, you know, quality time or whatever, you need to be able to voice that and be confident in herself to know that it's okay. But I don't know, like shit. That's a good question for Phil. I think Phil would have a better answer for that.
Maybe Phil can come on here one day and
One day. So, obviously, you juggling your business, your husband, because Phil can be a little much sometimes. Yes, Philip, I'm talking to you.
Rath Flores.
Juggling everything, home life, friends, everything. What do you think is your biggest struggle?
Oh my goodness, Har, these are great questions.
I don't even know that myself, but
I feel like more time being at home and Rath time. I'm sure like when you talk to the people you know and know of me, they're gonna be like, Rath needs more Rath time. And I'm trying to find that. And I think that's my biggest challenge. So when I do have days off and the kids are in school, I purposely will go to Indigo and walk by myself with a Starbucks and read books by myself. I love being alone. Like as much as I love people, I love being alone.
It's such a luxury.
I don't know.
It is
but
a luxury.
I wonder if every mom's like that.
Being alone.
For
The
me, it's
quietness.
HomeSense.
Right? Yes. I can walk around HomeSense for hours. And or like go get a pedicure and not talk to my esthetician. Like I don't ever, you know me, I love to talk, but like
Sometimes you just don't want to.
I don't want to talk. I just don't want to talk.
Yeah, when I get my facials, it's like they're trying to talk, and I'm like, in my head, I was like, shut the
Don't
fuck
talk to me.
up.
Don't talk to me. Yeah, I hate it when they talk to
massage
me.
my damn face, okay? And like, I just want to take a 45-minute.
I've been talking all day.
Yeah. So that's rare for her, but meh.
Yeah. And I also find like friends time, like again, going back to like remembering who you are and like, and quality time with my friends and also like my husband before we had kids or when we had Chloe. Well, before we had kids, we would always go on dates, right? And then we had Chloe, and then every Thursday night was our date night. And then when we had 2, it's like, okay.
Whenever
date
Dave
is
or
whenever.
Free was dating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, but then one thing that Phil and I really cherish is that like we have our own movie nights that we do. And so, like the kids are in bed, we'll pick a movie, we'll watch a movie. And then we'd be like 10:30, you're like, are you hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? Yeah, let's order something. So we'll order like skip the dish. And then, and we'll just pick and just have
That's
like
amazing.
That's the best.
but I feel like that's another struggle that I struggle with. It's like having more quality time with my husband, the man who like truly supports me through all of this. I feel like I'm not giving him enough of my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you're doing an amazing job. Like Chloe and
Thanks.
Cole are such
So-
great kids. I love seeing them at parties and stuff, even though you're not there, even though I wish you were there.
you.
But also with the business, congratulations.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah,
Like
we're
that has
so
been
proud.
long overdue, and seeing, you know, people that you love succeed and excel, it makes me happy. And I truly, like, I know whatever you put your mind to, you're going to thrive. And I know we're almost out of time. So thank you so much, Rath, for coming onto the podcast. It's never easy to be vulnerable, especially, I mean, we could do it as friends, but to share it with like everybody, it's always definitely hard. So before we leave, we want to ask you, if there's one thing that you can do over in your life, what would it be and why?
That's a really good question. I never really thought about that. I felt like life has given me such a great learning experience and opportunity. I've been so grateful with everything in my life. I don't, you know what? I don't think I would redo anything, because if I did, I wouldn't be where I am and like value the things I value now in life. You
That's
know,
a good answer.
I'm
Not even Crazy Horse Days. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I wouldn't change that.
Amsterdam
That was the
Rhino.
best.
but no, I feel like I've been very blessed with the life that I've been given. So
Amazing.
That's a good answer.
mhm.
Anyways, yeah, so we are out of time. So thank you again so much, Rath. We really appreciate you and your time. I know you're super busy, super mom, but to be here, we just totally appreciate you. And thank you again, Harp, for another amazing episode. And as always, guys, don't forget to click, share, and like and subscribe to our YouTube videos. We're up on YouTube and Instagram and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. So make sure you click and subscribe. As always, love yourself even on the hardest days. And wear your masks and wash your hands.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay.